everybody. Okay, so this is going to be a lot of information in a very short period of time, and it's mostly not really information, it's things to think about. Okay, so previous video where we talked about Tilia Joy and how, people like her are not doing anybody any favors. Well, what that made me realize is that twin flames shouldn't be following people who aren't twin flames. And if you doubt that someone's a twin flame, then you shouldn't be listening to them, because 10 to 1, it's like a Chinese person teaching you English and they don't know any. Because you can't walk in someone's shoes without knowing the experience, right? The twin flame experience is very, very unique. And if you want to believe that you know what you're talking about when you've never experienced it, again, it's like a Chinese person teaching English and not knowing any English, right? Or vice versa, whichever, in case the racists get all upset that I use the Chinese first. So that's number one, is that the twin flame community should be shutting down people who aren't twin flames, because people who aren't twin flames don't know about twin flames and can do more damage than they can do good. And we've already discussed how, Susan Barger damages people. Now, let's move on to acceptance, okay? Now, I've just had a good morning of fun because, let's see, so the statue of Baphomet is moving around the U.S. First it was Oklahoma, then it was Arkansas, and now it's found a home in Detroit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please feel free to Google the word Baphomet, Detroit, Baphomet. Now, this got on the page of someone I know who's into mediumship and spirituality and the same things that I'm into. So, I basically said, glad that they found a home for it, because if you followed the story from start to end, they were looking for a home. It's like it's like a ton or something. Anyways, it's an extremely large statue. It's pure metal. It's very heavy, and it's very costly to keep shipping it around the country. So they were looking for a home for it. Detroit allowed them to find a home. Now, the response of this, though, funny enough, and, I was foolish enough to think this wouldn't happen, is some crazy Christians who go on the warpath against, how this is wrong. Firstly, this is not even their country, right? So this is happening in the States. These Christians are in Canada. So again, there's that national issue. But then there's also the idea that they know what's best for people. And this is what drives me absolutely fucking batty about Abraham and his religions. Muslims, the extremists, not normal everyday Muslims. Normal everyday Muslims may think this too, but they don't act on it. But the extremists of the religious groups, they basically want to force you to become what they are. Now, that means that there are some psychological problems, because even though you can have found the way to do something, that's only about you. You have found acceptance for you. You have found the way for your soul. Jesus said, I am the way, I am the light. But you know what Jesus was saying? He was talking about soul. He was talking about evolution of consciousness. He wasn't saying that I am God in the sense of, I am whatever at the time, Adonai or, Allah or any of that. He was saying that I have become a God, my soul and my consciousness are now united, and so I have become a man-made God. And so you have these issues where Christians don't understand the knowledge of which Jesus spoke. They don't understand live and let live. They don't understand the word acceptance. So if, which is funny, because actually now that I was about to say this, Hinduism is now accepted by Christians as another religion. Buddhism is now accepted by Christians as another religion. Islam is now accepted by Christians as another religion. But God forbid you should post something, quote unquote, satanic, and they lose their bloody mind. It's like Armageddon is happening. And it's like, I've been around on this planet for a long time, and Armageddon's never happened. The closest to Armageddon we have is Hiroshima, where, the United States and its multinational corporation ideals blew up an innocent country to test the nuclear bomb. That's as close to Armageddon as we could get. So, what we have to look at now is the fact that, what's left? Like, if you take Tilia Joy and you take Jesus and you take Allah and you take Buddha and you take all of these ideas and you take your relationship, take your partner, they're all gone. None of them exist in that moment. Nothing is true but you sitting in that moment. So what does that leave you? That leaves you your pain. That leaves you your fear. That leaves you your doubt. That leaves you every feeling that you don't want to face because you have all these outlets to put them into. And yet if they don't matter and they're not happening, what's left? This. This is your cage. This is your king. This is your queen. This is your devil. This is your God. It's all there, right? And yet people don't seem to get it. So I talked about, how I was proud of Detroit, and then these Christians follow me, and then this one lady from my own city continually goes after me. She starts off this argument of, blah 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 blah. Briar, I can't believe you would have Jason as your friend. Well, forgive me, call me crazy, but isn't that attacking someone? Isn't that being rude and sort of passive aggressive? So I brought the fight to her. Then this other lady says, we need to grow up. And I'm like, I don't see how I'm needing to grow up. I didn't start it. This woman's crazy. I'm going to end it. And so I did. But then she said, well, that's nice, but you should be the bigger person. No. See, turning the other cheek and allowing people to continue to live their stupidity is why we're in the mess we're in. Because we always turn the other cheek. And whatever gets resolved? Nothing. We don't deal with our issues because we keep turning the other cheek. We keep burying our head in the sand. Now, turning the other cheek means forgiveness. It means, okay, let's discuss this. Let's talk about this. Let's work this out. And then I will forgive you and I will pretend that you didn't offend me. Okay? Or whatever. That's essentially what turn the other cheek is. Turn the other cheek doesn't just mean, turn the other cheek and walk away and pretend it's not happening, because that's like bullshit. Oh, I'm pretending that the world's not fucked up. I'm pretending that we're not wasting so much garbage every day because we're humans and we're horrible, horrible parasites on the planet. And I'm gonna pretend that corporations aren't fucking the world up. And I'm gonna pretend that the U.S. is not the most crazy and corrupt government in the whole entire world. And I'm gonna pretend that I didn't just get shot in the stomach because some guy with a gun decided he was drunk and stupid. You know what I mean? That's turning the other cheek in the crazy sense. But turning the other cheek and saying, okay, we've had a disagreement. I want to understand where you're coming from. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Now I can forgive you. Now I can turn the other cheek and we can carry on as if nothing happened. That's turning the other cheek. Not ignoring the issue, not allowing someone to continually cause harm. That's not turning the other cheek. That's enabling bully mentality. That's enabling victim mentality. That is why the twin flame community is sort of going... Because they're constantly allowing for bullies. They're constantly allowing for people who don't belong to control them. And that's society. And that's a problem. So, the third part of this video is simple. Ever since my shift out of criticism, I've had a really good time. As you can see, my videos are not quite as often as they used to be because I don't need to justify myself by talking, right? But these moments come along where people, it's just crazy. And it's not so much that I can't accept them for their crazy. It's not that I can't accept them for what they're doing. But we have to look at what's going on, and we have to look at, is this the logical answer or is this the logical answer? We have to get back into logic, guys, because we've forgotten what logic is. We've been living in fear since 9/11. Not because 9/11 is, whatever, not because of conspiracy theories, but because what happened after that is this bubble of fear. My guide showed me what my thoughts look like on an average day. And if you want to collect that island of plastic, that's what that in the middle of the ocean, let me finish that thought, where we feel really bad for animals because they're eating this shit and they're dying. Look at the planet around you. Do you know why it's doing what it's doing? It's because of these. It's because there's between 7 and 9 billion of these. I can't remember which billion it is, but there's billions of these going off. And billions of these are creating that mass in the middle of the ocean. Because billions of these don't get it. And so we constantly have to look at, like Abraham Hicks, I think it was, said, if you saw what your mind was capable of, you would never think a negative thought again. So we have to start unraveling the mind. And how do you unravel the mind? You get back into it. You use logic with emotion. You unify the two so that once you unify the two, you can work yourself out, right? That's how it goes. That's what it's for. So why don't we stop being crazy? Why don't we stop accepting people who bully, like Christians, like some of the twin flame moderators. Why don't we start taking back the world in which we live in and stop living in fear? If someone attacks someone because they don't like what they believe, then how are they being loving? Now, if you attack someone because they've attacked you, well, you're just defending yourself. So why is it that we have to accept that people attack us and hurt us and, do their best to tear us down, but like Hedwig, you can't tear me down. So why is it my responsibility to stop a crazy person from being crazy? I should just be allowed to play with the crazy. And that's what I do. I play with the crazy. I love arguing with crazy people because I know it says that two people look like idiots. But that's not true either, because the smarter one among the smart people, you can see who they are. The dumb one looks dumb. But we can't allow crazy to keep going unchecked. It's not possible. It's not probable. It's not good. It's crazy. So let's stop being crazy. Let's get into the goodness. Let's get into the joy. Let's get into the happy. Because God damn it, I found happiness. I got to the heart of what was fucking me up and I changed. Why? Because of Reiki. Because I trusted my soul. I trusted me to heal. And guess what, guys? I healed me. 6 years it took, but it happened. And so now it's time for the rest of us to look at ourselves and start going, why am I crazy? And stop being crazy. And the only way to stop being crazy is to dive right into that crazy and figure out what's making us crazy. And that's the fun. That's where you get to go off, because we're all